I had a specific song I wanted to play, and I was looking through it. This Drake album, I don't know for the rest of you guys, is literally complete dookie. Um, for those of you who don't know, this is the after show live stream talking about the pretty much stuff that happened this past week. So right here, you can see right here. Shout out to the patrons. If this plays, if it doesn't play, pretty much this is the weekly after stream. If you guys have never seen it, I look back at the stuff for the week. I talk about some of the stuff that's upcoming. I answer you guys' questions in the live chat, which you're going to see. But I archive all of these videos over there on Patreon for just $1, and we pretty much were super close to getting like a specific goal. But if you see me sweating, it's because it's completely hot in here, and I don't want the fan inside to like get in the way of the stream. But yeah, it's pretty much this casual stream that we have every week. You know, there's a whole thing going on with the Drake album right here, but there's a whole other thing that I want to talk about specifically. I usually don't make it like a topic thing, but I figured, you know, sometimes I don't have like a complete video that I want to release for the A to Z show, so sometimes I kind of have it be like this whole thing here on the chat where I could just kind of have the discussion live with you guys, and it's this whole like content thing. Recently there was a lot of stuff dealing with like Universal and like copyright claims, and there's a whole video that I want to work on it because there's you can see the pop up the chat right there. There's this whole thing out there where like literally anyone can copyright your stuff. Like I know for those of you who are fans of the channel, and that's why I bring up the Patreon stuff, and that's why I like doing this on a weekly basis. But giving you guys a shout out mainly because, dude, like I have had videos where people it gets copyright stricken manually. Like I understand that the robots are one thing, and sometimes they mess it up and they're not doing what they should be. But sometimes you get like Tim the intern is what I call him. Whoever like Universal or what so and so is like working for the company, and they will manually detect stuff that aren't even in the video. They just know you're talking about it. I have examples from like friends who are also creators who don't even like they weren't even showing the movie. They were cosplaying as that movie character, and they got stuff. So I mean, it's a whole thing. I've Drake in the title because obviously we're going to be talking about Scorpion because it's freaking 25 tracks long. There's a whole thing about that, but there's this whole discussion about just copyright in general, and I think there was a recent thing with one of the videos for Let Me Explain. Also just dealing that not everything also has to do with copyright content and claims and stuff like that, but just in the form of getting videos stolen all the time. I see right here, my vids get stolen all the time. This idea of just taking other people's content and just creating it as your own. I mean, that's a whole other discussion. I don't know how much of it I want to get into, but yeah, there's this whole thing out there of like who creates a certain type of thing and who's just like stealing off of other people's content. I don't know. There was a recent thing with my recent video. Thank you guys for showing all that love and support. I guess to talk about that, the scumbag video. There's this whole debate, you know, because I was like, a lot of people are exploiting someone, whether you like him or not. That's a whole other issue there. But whether my video was kind of pounding off that as well. But why I really appreciate you guys is because that video had nothing. Both of the people who I was talking about in the video, they weren't in the tags, they weren't in the description. Even the one in the thumbnail, they're not in the title. But even in the thumbnail, I blurred it out. So I thought it was just interesting. Some people taking, I don't want to name things, taking things from that video and literally just repeating it. And it wasn't just like comments it, man. It was just like taking like actual edits from the video and using it somewhere else. I'm a person who likes, like, if I'm using something, I like giving it credit in the video. But there's like, bro, I've had a bunch of videos where people will take explanations that I've made, which is completely fine, but take it and claim it as their own. I've had stuff from like Cloverfield videos where I don't know, not to bash the people. I like just, you know, people who create and stuff like that, but like just not getting the credit for it when someone like will take a graphic that you made and then just use it and call it as their own. And it sucks because for me, I'm a person who, I like to think I just want to make content for you guys, but there's a certain point where I don't know. I'm glad to have 200,000 subscribers. I don't know at what point does that make me as influential as somebody else or whatnot and that, but there are people who are just bigger. I mean, you see a bunch of other corporations, I would say, YouTube channels who all of a sudden love doing explained videos, and they take other stuff. Back when I used to do Easter egg videos, some of you guys know about the little bait rule. I love doing Easter egg videos, and I would be there and just like searching out, watching a movie more than once for it, and every now and then I would put a little thing, maybe a little bit far-fetched Easter egg, but it was something that would make sense, but it was mostly just to see these other bigger YouTubers, these other bigger creators, even with a watermark or whatnot, would take this Easter egg and it showed me that there's bigger corporations and bigger, obviously I deal more with the music and stuff, but even other stuff dealing with music that have to do with being very geniuses. I mean, you look at dates and you see them start taking certain titles and tags, and sometimes you see your own channel names in the tags. I don't know, it's a little weird because I love. I just think it's weird when you start doing a certain type of video. I've always been a fan of like spoilers and stuff. I don't want to give a review where it's like, oh man, this is really good, but I can't explain to you why it is or why it's not. And then you see other bigger corporations start taking that. You see it's like, oh, well, that's not what the title of your videos used to be. Now it's got explained at the end. And I'm not saying that maybe it's not straight from me. Maybe it's somebody else who's taking that style. And everybody, make any type of videos that you want. It's just weird when you see bigger corporations. This goes to a lot of other people. I don't want to name too many examples, but I've seen people make like sketches. I've seen, there are very good creators out there who have like these sketches dealing with like pitch meetings. And then you see somebody else kind of take that and then make it their own. And then they pretend like, yo, I had no idea that was a thing coming from another creator. It's like, yo, that creator was on trending because of that. But, it is what it is. The Drake album, I think, is another discussion when it comes to that. Mainly because, and I have a whole video, you can go definitely check out Hear Me Out. That's a whole channel where I go do album reviews. The A to Z show, I'm kind of just breaking down stuff, what they mean to me. I have a video for Drake. I'm curious what you guys think about the title of it. Pretty much I want to play with that So Far Gone, which was like his first like mixtape that became something. Kind of talking about how Drake is almost so far gone, in a sense, and I do the album reviews over on Hear Me Out, and I'm almost done with it. And there's this whole thing that I kind of want to do, talking about just at what point do we see Drake as this entity who just can't make a mistake? Because in my own opinion, I'm curious to know you guys' thought on that album. My man took an L. My man was in there and he was trying to create. It almost felt like the entire album was him kind of going, all right, I've been put in a corner. And like the whole album is kind of like apologizing. And it's like extremely long. Some people like long albums, and I'm okay with it. That's dope. I think it's pretty interesting. But there is a whole thing with him being out of a contract, and he kind of wants to get out of this contract. I don't know how he keeps being on this on this contract over here. But yeah, it's 25 tracks because it can count as a double album to get out of the 2 more things that he needs to do. There are tracks in there that I like. My thing with this Drake album is that there's like a line that I'll be like, yo, that thing is dope. And then the next album's like, he's talking about he's light-skinned, but he's still dark after. I'm like, is that your rebuttal to the whole thing that happened out there? Talking about, yo, my kid is the world. He's everything to me. Only thing that matters to me is my bed and my mama. I'm sorry. There's weird things out there. The tracks that I would, and I always do it, Hear Me Out. If you're not subscribed to Hear Me Out, got more videos coming on there, definitely for sure. I do what I call my set list, and I always have my playlist down below. Definitely, if you're curious to what I'm listening to, you can download it and then get rid of whatever songs you don't like that I have on there. I think the intro track's really good. I'm a big fan of 7, 8, and 9. 8 out of 10. Mob Ties, Can't Take a Joke. Again, don't like all the lines in there. Out of the side B, I know some people do like side B. I'm not the biggest fan of side B, but the ones that do stand out to me, maybe the Ty Dolla $ign one, and I do like Summer Games. Summer Games is pretty good, mainly because it reminds me of some of the tracks that he has in his other ones. I always feel that Drake does like a Fireworks. I'm forgetting what the one was in the last album that he had for Views, but he always got like this like electronic synth type song, and I think that's the one for this album. But I just think 25 tracks. I don't know if it's because we're spoiled, because we had like 7 tracks with all that other stuff with the Kanye releases, with the Wyoming tapes, but I also don't think 25 is it. That's just a lot of tracks, but I'm curious to know your guys' thoughts on it. Like I said, I'm going to have a whole thing for Hear Me Out. I'm planning a video for Drake, an A to Z video, kind of just talking about this whole thing that he's been writing to, and at what point does he become so far gone? At what point does regular Drake, the people Drake, talking about like his own things and something you can relate to, you can't make that connection anymore? But yeah, I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts on that. Someone mentioned LeBron. I guess I'll give my quick thoughts on LeBron, since I don't really cover sports that much. Other than the sports video that I just made from your Twitter guys' questions. Yeah, LeBron going to the Lakers. I had a discussion with my brother about it. He's way more into sports than I am and keeps up with like baseball and stuff. He brought up a great point of if he goes to the Lakers, now it's going to be harder for him to get into the finals because he's always been in the East, and that's been easier for him. If he's over there, now he's on the West Coast, he's got to go through, I think my brother had mentioned Houston. He's got to deal with, obviously, Golden State before even getting to the finals. I don't know. I think he's thinking more in the money now. I think he's done with that idea of, like, the finals and stuff. He's proved himself to who he needs to, if he even cares about that stuff. So he's just doing his own thing now. So I'm okay with it. I mean, I've come around on the LeBron hate train when he first started, where because he was getting so much promotion, people wanted to hate him. But I do think he's one of the best of his generation at this point in time. So there's no doubt about that. Excited for our Announce Nas video. Finally, some good music on this channel. Do you like Civil War or Infinity War better? Ooh, that's a very good question. Man. I feel like Infinity War's got the recency bias at this point in time. But Civil War is really good. Civil War has some of the funniest lines. Civil War has the better version of Ant-Man. But Infinity War, to some people, may have the better version of Thor. I love Thor Ragnarok. Some people think that what they were trying to do with Thor Ragnarok, he did better on this one. Let's see. My bed and my mama. Okay, I heard this theory. Someone sent it to me. I think my sister was the one who was sending it to me on Twitter. Some people are saying that Drake's kid's name is My Bed. No, it's not. So that's why when he says my bed and my mama, he's talking about his kid. It ain't my bed. Why would he name it? I forgot some foreign language that they said that he named the kid. Nah, Drake himself tweeted a picture of his bed and his mother. So you know that's not it. Let's see. Lakers bandwagon. LeBron is trying to live his best life, and that is his sunshine. He's over the winning thing. Agree 100%. Trainwreck 2 because LeBron's in Hollywood. That's my other thing. I think LeBron's going to be in more movies. Maybe he's moving over there because of that Space Jam 2 hype. So if that's it, like I said, do what he's got to do. Favorite horror movie moments? If I'm thinking of a recent one right now, you guys know I love Hereditary. The car scene. Is Sicario a sequel? Alright, I'll touch on this real quick. Let me explain again. My other channel where my movie diary channel over there, talked about how Sicario's is, this isn't a spoiler for those of you who haven't seen Sicario, but Sicario is an anthology series, and I show a clip of the, well, pretty much I got a lot of people, I said, Sicario's not a sequel, it's its own thing, right? They're making an anthology series between them. People said, no, you're an idiot. What are you talking about, man? This connects with this. And they swore there was connections in there. And people talking about, no, you're misunderstanding what the director said. And then I post a clip where the director literally says, they're not connected in any way, shape, or form, which is cool. I love people's, theories when it comes to things. I have a bunch of theories on movies, obviously, but people were insulting. They were they wanted it to connect to the first so bad, even though it doesn't really do that, but they swore there was connections. And that comment section went crazy. Definitely go check that out just to see, people were insulting and stuff. And I was like, the director kind of says that they're different things, which I think is interesting. That's the whole thing right there. Sicario was its own script. Then the writer had his own other script, and he's like, all right, we're going to make a sequel. Let's just kind of have it be this option B in a sense. And supposedly they're working on 3, and that's supposed to be another option. So they're all in their own little universe. But yeah, it's interesting seeing people think that they're connected, and they refuse to hear what the director has to say because it's what they want to. I am watching The Departed, and I'm in love. Everyone in this movie, especially Oscar winner Leo. He deserved an Oscar for that movie. What do you think is Leo's best movie? Best movie is kind of interesting, because obviously that varies, but I do think that his best performance is, in my opinion, What's Eating Gilbert Grape. If we're talking about when he should have won it during that time, because What's Eating Gilbert Grape is a fantastic movie. Revenant. Physicality was there, but in terms of what his best performance is, What's Eating Gilbert Grape, for sure. I saw something over here about Sorry to Bother You. I don't know if I saw it right there. Let's see. Are we going to get a Sorry to Bother You video? Most definitely. You'll get that. Let me explain. But there is a specific scene that I want to make an ATZ video on. Watch Sorry to Bother You. Actually, that was what I should have started this video on, because that comes out, I think it's limited release. I'm not sure. Sorry to Bother You is that bonkers movie that some of you are going to be like, 15 minutes into it, this is too weird for me. That's okay. But for some of you, this is going to be that weirdness that's just going to take you on a whole nother level, and that did it for me, definitely. Do you like the new Gorillaz album? I'm not in love with it, but I love it way more than the last album, so yeah. Civil War, always my fave. Thoughts on Enemy? Enemy is one of my favorite, it is my favorite Denis Villeneuve movie, and it's one of my favorite movies of all time. Best coming-of-age film? As of recently, I really do like Lady Bird from last year. Year after, before that, Edge of 17 was pretty good. I'm trying to see if there's anything up there in my own collection coming with those, but there's that one with them in the woods. I'm forgetting what the name of it is, with the 3 boys in the woods. It's by the guy who made Kong Skull Island. That one's also a pretty good one. The car scene in Hereditary had me jacked up, definitely. Sicario 2 is fine, but not as good as the first. Agreed. Benicio carries it, as he always does. Is Soldado the Aliens for Sicario Alien? Yes, that's a perfect example to put it at that. Do you ever see Mighty Ducks? I saw them back in the day, probably when they were like fully sat down and watched the Mighty Ducks movies, just bits and pieces and clips here and there. Hereditary was way overhyped by you. Sure, I think that's what a lot of people don't realize. If I liked Hereditary, I liked Hereditary. Definitely go check out these movies if they don't live up for it. That's fine. But for me, it wasn't overhyped. But yeah, as long as I put these movies on your radar and hopefully you get to, like, sorry to bother you. As long as it's on your radar and you know to go check it out, then definitely check the movies out and let me know what you think about them. Did you actually have to put holy water in your sprinklers and that it summoned Satan? No, it didn't summon Satan because that holy water was in the sprinklers. Civil War's version of Thor is that he doesn't exist. Yeah. Okay, if this update's like that. Which is better, Drive, Baby Driver, or Nightcrawler? Personally, I think Drive is the best of the three. Baby Driver is the funnest. That's the one I rewatched the most. 100% agree with you on What's Eating Gilbert Grape. Yo, if you haven't seen What's Eating Gilbert Grape, I don't know if it's still on Netflix, but definitely check out that movie because I really like it. It's really sad. Are you ever going to do a full on Let Me Explain series when you do it on shows? Yeah, I have one on Westworld that we're trying to work on right now. So, yeah. The shows is just harder because of collecting footage. Like, Let Me Explain is fun, and it's like... Let Me Explain is one of the very few where I just sit down and just do my thoughts as opposed to an A to Z one where I'm trying to think of a certain topic. But the hardest part with Let Me Explain is just getting all that footage. I know it seems like it's very fun and easy, and it's very easy to edit just because I've had years of experience and I get help with it. But it's just finding that footage. Like, you all know how hard it was to find that Incredibles footage of her, like, snotting at the thing. Like, we had to sign up for a Disney Experience thing in order to get a certain thing dealing with that. It was like this, you had to watch this video to apply to, like, a timeshare, but that video actually showed her, like, snotting things out, so... It's just collecting footage, which is the hardest thing, which makes it more harder when you're doing stuff dealing with TV shows because there's just way more footage. Superfly was way underhyped. One of you could have done more. I can only give what my opinions are. I'm not responsible for Superfly's marketing, but again, I can only give my opinion. If you don't agree with my opinion, then it becomes overhyped or you disagree with it. But Superfly was okay for me. Who do you think will fade away in Ant-Man and the Wasp? I think both Wasp and Hank Pym. I think so too because I don't want to talk about some leaked footage stuff over there, but Ant-Man's got to tie into Infinity War. It just has to. They didn't do it with the show. I don't know how you didn't do it with Cage. I guess because y'all were too busy having him dab on haters and stuff, but it's got to connect. If it doesn't connect, then I don't know what you guys are doing, but I definitely think it is considering some of the leaks that are out there, so yeah. Best Kid Cudi album. I think this debate has been out there between the two Man on the Moons. A lot of people like the first, and I really do like the first. There's just something about the second that edges it out to me, and it may be that I hold Mr. Ranger up there so high. Do you like the movie Emperor's New Groove? Yeah, it's fantastic. Did you see the Mr. Rogers movie? Yes, did I see the Mr. Rogers movie? I haven't Let Me Explain coming out on that, but it is a big part of the, what month was it? June wrap-up. So if I'm spoiling where that is on the list. Man, I love that movie a lot. Definitely watch it. Did you see Bo Burnham's 8th Grade at Sundance? Yeah, I've actually seen it twice. I was able to see it at Sundance, and I got the chance to see it at Chicago Critics Film Festival. And the more that I watch it, the higher it gets up there. And the cringe, that's going to be the ATZ video on it. Embracing cringe and how that's a good thing. We're so high. And so am I. I love cringe compilation videos because they're funny. But this movie embraces that. And it embraces stuttering and acting and all these things without putting a whole thing on it. And I like it more the more that I watch it. So I'm excited for you guys to catch that. Thoughts on you, Drake? I mentioned it a little bit earlier. I'll have to hear me out on it. But in his words, I'm upset. Just disappointed. I don't hate it. Just upset. Have you heard of the song I'm Sorry by Joyner Lucas? It really explains my mood right now. Now I have to check it out. I probably have because I listened to his album, the Phone Number album. So I'll put that on my list to listen to. What would you say is your favorite Netflix show? If you're asking that question, then you haven't been up on the show because you guys, for those of you who do watch the show, man, I am high on American Vandal. Love American Vandal. Season 2 of American Vandal is coming out. Fantastic. Did you ever watch Zach Stone Is Going to Be Famous? Yes, another show, which I'm looking at the DVD right there. Highly love that show. Recommend it a lot. What is your favorite scene from Toy Story? Favorite scene from Toy Story? The You're a Toy scene is a classic. From the third one, it's definitely the incendiary scene because just how sad that is. I could send you 1080p Westworld clips if you need it. Usually what it is, it's small things that aren't even like clips that are uploaded. I would have to get like the entire episode and then just scrub through it. Do you read screenplays? I do. I do enjoy reading screenplays, sometimes just to see the differences between the movies and how they're adapted, which I think is really cool. There's a bunch of lessons from the screenplay. It's a great channel on YouTube. I'm blinking on the channel, but I do follow them. There's a channel on Instagram, and they also have a YouTube channel now too, where they talk about, they kind of like put the script right next to the actual scene, and you get to see the differences, not only dialogue, but in the direction, and I think that's really cool to check out. And I also do end up reading a lot of scripts when it comes to me making an A to Z video and those explanation videos, because the script, kind of like having closed captions on, kind of having subtitles, gives you a lot more emphasis on what they're going for. So I do like reading the scripts. Like for the Sicario one, that's how it's like, when the director tells you it's not connected, that's pretty definitive. But when the writer himself has that script and you see that this is kind of like an alternative direction, like if he had these characters and they're the same characters, but this is one storyline if they went this way and this is another storyline if they went that way. So yeah, I think reading a script and listening to interviews from the directors really opens up a lot about that movie and the behind the scenes. Did you get the chance to watch We the Animals? Yes. Do a little plug right here for the Letterboxd. I think I had that link down below. I've tried to link everything down below, but definitely go check out the Letterboxd. It's super dope. Because you're able to just like update your movies and stuff. I don't update it as much, but I had decided to do, shout out to the Intercot podcast, my co-host Zachary Shevik. He does this thing where he just ranks all of his movies. Now, no, I do my wrap-ups of the month, but that's kind of a way to make like this really cool list. It's like Goodreads for movies. It's like a better version of IMDb. And you can just log everything you watch. And while I don't really update on mini reviews that are typed, since I'm more of a video guy, I really like using the list format. And it keeps me in track of everything that I've watched. 170-something movies so far, I think, this year. I know, I need to get a life, but this is my life, and I like sharing it with you guys. Just having that entire list there, and it fluctuates. So if it's different from what I say at one point, know that that's what I love about movies, is that one time I have Hereditary as my number 2, and then the Mr. Rogers doc at number 3. But honestly, today, that Mr. Rogers doc is at number 2. And so it varies. And know that, you know, it's okay to have a favorite movie at one point, and then you see something else that's a little bit better, or you revisit a movie and you're in a certain mood. That's why I'm not so concrete with lists. But this is a fun little just list that's there to just show you what I've been watching and where I rank certain things. And definitely comment on stuff or tweet me if you have any other questions, or be here on the live stream for it. What editing program do you recommend for a new and upcoming YouTuber that needs some direction and help? There's a lot of, I started off with things like Corel and different things, but jump right into Adobe, because Adobe still allows you to do a lot of things if you're a beginner. There's on YouTube, there's a lot of tutorials, that are free and they help you out. But even more than that, I think it's the most affordable one, because you can get a whole month subscription. If you do that whole different email things, you can continue pushing that. But it's really only $9.99 for like a couple of apps a month. Or if you're a student or a teacher, you can get everything for $19.99. So you can start practicing on Adobe Premiere, and then on, what's the other thing? After Effects, if your computer can handle it, Photoshop, Illustrator. So that's definitely something that I would recommend. I'll answer a couple things here as I ended up, because as you guys know, so this is the beginning of the month. I do have a concert, going to a Paramore concert with my sister, Paramore and Foster the Kids. I always forget what the last name is. But I will be doing the live stream I always talked about, or not this. So this is like the live stream that I posted here, archived over there. But to get even closer, not just having you guys in the chat, I try to do what's going to be a monthly thing, kind of just like an hour-long Google Hangout with you guys. So if you're over there on Patreon for, like I said, just $1, the tip that helps out, I'm doing a whole thing over there where monthly you guys hop on. I don't know what the limit is, but just DM me over there and get you guys a link, and we just have a whole discussion over there face to face. So definitely, if you're curious in that, go check that out. If you're watching this for the first time, know that we do this weekly. I do this weekly, just try to answer your questions. It's gonna be a lot better once this place gets or a new place gets a better air conditioning, because the moment you turn those lights on, it's a lot of heat over here. But thank you for those of you guys who are watching live. Have you ever felt connected to BoJack Horseman? Yes, that's why I love it so much. What's your take on Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing? It just became 20 years last week and it's so relevant. That's what you know is a very good movie, and I still see people copying a lot of things from it. Thoughts on Jared Leto as Morbius? I've not heard about this bit. I'm going to be completely honest, no. Do you listen to The Weeknd? Because if you do, what's your favorite song? Man, I love The Weeknd. My favorite song from The Weeknd is Rolling Stone, going way back to the trilogy days. So yes, I do listen to The Weeknd. Is The Godfather worth the 3 hour-ish? I have to sink into it. Yes, but again, don't just watch a movie. Be ready for that movie. Know what you're getting yourself into, because, man, there's some great movies, right? But if you're not feeling the vibe of that movie, don't watch it. But it is worth it. And, of course, Godfather Part 2 is better in my opinion. So you wrap these up real quick. Jonah Hill's mid-90s predictions. Any Oscar chances? I don't know yet. I don't get myself until I see it. Have you seen American Gods? I haven't, but if you recommend it, I should. Would you agree with this statement that Kanye is the greatest artist of all time? And if you do, why do you think he is? I think he's one of the greatest working today. Mainly because of how he consistently re-innovates himself and people give him smack, rightfully so sometimes, but then you see other people replicating that. Thank you so much for your input. Yeah, definitely let me know what you think about it. Do you like Studio Ghibli? Love them. Have you seen the trailer for Black Klansman? Yes, I have. I don't like spoiling myself with some trailers, but that movie looks insane. Do you think Kanye actually had bipolar disorder? I can't speak on that. Favorite cereal? Believe it or not, recently Honey Bunches of Oats. Is RDJ doing blackface okay? I've asked that question. I feel like it's not okay now. But back then, people had no problem with it. He does it now, people might have one. Audiences do love Gotti. Favorite snack to eat, besides popcorn, at the theater, chicken tenders. Till Dawn. Is there any recent movies that you think are overhyped? Recently, maybe A Quiet Place. I feel like it wasn't as quiet as it should have been. Let's see, last, what is it? Did you see the trailer for A Beautiful Boy? I haven't. I had missed it. I actually had a screening to it, a test screening I didn't get to go to. But I'm excited for it. And I'll end it with this one right here. Best Western ever made, for those of you guys who don't know, in my top 5, and it's in the letterbox if you go check it out, is The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I think that's one of the greatest movies ever made. So I obviously have that up there as one of the best Westerns. And I really wish Westerns would make a comeback. I like that 3:10 to Yuma remake. And Logan is practically a Western, so that's definitely there as well. But like I said, if you're watching this in the future, all of these get archived, but I leave it up in the channel for those of you who, don't know about it. You can catch it up there. But for those, if you're listening to this part right here, know that every Monday I do the live stream, but also every Monday at the beginning of the month, which is this one right here, I head on over to Patreon, and I like having that face-on-face. The chat is cool, and I appreciate you guys here, but I have that little face-on-face stuff that we do, so definitely go check that out. Curious to know your thoughts. To wrap up the stuff from the beginning, if you saw me ranting, it's interesting seeing other people kind of like take the flow that you're going, which is cool. I love re-innovation and all that stuff. Maybe I need to catch up, but as the title of the video goes, it's just interesting seeing your stuff in the tags, That's when you know that something goes from being inspired to just kind of being a little bit of a rip-off. And then when we get to the studio side of things, of them claiming something even though you're trying to give them credit, and it's a manual detection, something that ain't even in the video, that might be an ATZ video right there. But yeah, it's just a little... I don't vent a lot, but when I do, curious to know your guys' thoughts on it. Definitely let me know your thoughts, and until next time, I'll be seeing you guys